Shalom to the elect of the nation of Israel. It's another edition of the Daily Edification, the Daily Exaltation, coming to you through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai Bashem, Rakakwadash. All praises and glories due. Yeah, so I'm going to say a few more words to this video, the last video that I did. Brothers of GMS, you must get into prophecy now. Because like I said in the last video, the most important aspect of this knowledge, this truth, is prophecy. All right, and we here at Great Millstone, we're a camp, beginning with Elder Apostle on down, we're a camp known for going into prophecy. Okay? So, to recap what I said in the last video, I had this epiphany, and it was based upon, Elder Apostle was the first to break down what the two horns were. Okay, as I remember it correctly. And he said that the two horns, back then he said that was the two parties which seemed to oppose themselves of Esau, that being the Democratic and Republican Party. Now, when you go back during the Roman times, you had the plebeians and you had the patricians. The plebeians would be your Democratic Party today. The patricians would be your Republican Party. Now, the epiphany that hit me was both parties are of the same beast. Because in the prophecy, when you go into prophecy, Revelation 13 and 11, as a matter of fact, let's go to it, which I have it here. And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth. Now, I explained that in the last video, so if you want to know what that means, you go watch the last video. Now, this is the part I want to get to, because I don't want to make this video too long. And he had two horns like a lamb. I already explained that. And he spake as a dragon. So as Apostle Tahar was going into it, in the video that he did, which inspired me to do my last video, I said, well, wait a minute. These two horns are part of the same beast. So you got a lot of people that think that the Republican Party is better than the Democratic Party. Or you got a lot of people, dumbass Americans in particular, oh, the Democratic Party is better than the Republican Party. It's the same beast. That's the epiphany that hit me. It's the same beast. And then when that epiphany hit me, I remembered the words of Anthony Hilder, which I mentioned in the last video, when he said, it's a one-party system. I remember when I first started getting into the Illuminati, knowledge of the Illuminati, I remember him distinctively saying that, Anthony Hilder. It's a one-party system. And many people, especially in America, believe that that they're separate, that they really oppose each other. And it's all an illusion. It's a magic show, man. They don't oppose each other. They're part of the same beast. Okay? And this is the prophecy right here. He had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. So you have to have that opposition to give people an illusion that they have a choice. You have to give them a choice, even though you control the outcome. Okay, and that's how that's the magic, that's the mechanics of these top banking families. That's how they work their magic. They give you a choice, but in reality, they control that choice. Okay, so what you have is controlled opposition. And do you know there's another example of that, which is what prompted me to do this video? Let me show you what I'm talking about, right? Now, the use of the term dragon, right? I mentioned in the last video, Apostle Tahar was the first to say it, goes back to Draco. Okay, Draco was a lawgiver in Athens. He was known as an Athenian lawgiver. Okay, and he gave laws that were very cruel and severe, hence the term draconian legislation. Now, definitely an example of draconian legislation, because even in the chapter, let's go back to the chapter, right? Even in the chapter, towards the latter part of Revelation, the 13th chapter, it gives you an example of draconian legislation when this is written. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. He causeth all by what? By draconian legislation. By legislation that is draconian. To have everybody chipped is definitely an example of legislation that is draconian. What does the word draconian mean? Severe. Okay, it goes back to Draco, which was a severe lawgiver in Athens. Now you would notice if you know the history, all right? So this mandatory implication of the chip is definitely an example of draconian legislation. So what I did was typed in here, because I said that in the last video. I said to you brothers that what you should type in Google is examples of draconian legislation in the United States. So what I did was I typed in, as you see here, is the mandatory implication of the microchip draconian legislation. And all these sites came up. Okay? I mean, it didn't really explain the question precisely, but it gives examples of how, when the scriptures say he causeth all, both small and great, to receive that mark, it gives examples of that. Now here's one example. This is from GT Policy, right? Maryland lawmaker takes aim at mandatory microchipping. You see? Mandatory microchipping, meaning you have to take it. There's going to come a day when that legislation is going to be passed. And in the last video, I focused on the dialogue between Joe Biden, former Vice President of the United States, and Chief Justice John Roberts, and how Joe Biden told John Roberts, the day is coming when you will have to preside over this mandatory implication of the chip. Okay? He said, you will rule over that, to quote Joe Biden. So here's a story that's, adding to it. Maryland lawmaker takes aim at mandatory microchipping. One state legislator has proposed a bill that would prevent employers and state government from requiring or coercing, it's a tricky word to say, coercing anyone to be implanted with an identification device, also a microchip. Now, on its first face, right, when you read this bit of information here, on its first face, it seems like this certain senator, his name is Ron Young, opposes the mandatory implication of the chip. But in reality, he doesn't oppose it. He's just giving you, that's the bankers giving you that illusion that someone's up there fighting for you, for those of the people that have woken up and say, this government want to pull the stunt, want to chip everyone. That's not right. So for the certain population or populace, if you will, that have woken up to that, we'll give you an example. You see, we have senators that they're not all down with the game. All those senators are down with the game, even including this Senator Ron Young. See, the top elite know they have to give you a choice, but that choice is connected. That choice is controlled. If this guy Ron Young was truly against the mandatory implication of the chip, he wouldn't be a senator. He wouldn't be part of the game. Okay? He wouldn't be part of the game. So let's read it. It says, Big Brother may always be watching, but if a Frederick County lawmaker has his way? No. There's no such thing as Ron Young having his way. No, his way is the way of the bankers, what they want, not what he wants. Because if that was the case, he'd never be a senator. He would have been stopped from day one. Okay? No, this is an illusion to give you that, to put it before you that you have a choice. The people are really speaking up on your behalf. I'm talking about the public. It's an illusion. if a Frederick County lawmaker has his way, at least that won't lead to you being forced to get implanted with a microchip. See, that's the ultimate agenda. That's the ultimate agenda, and that's pursuant to Revelation 13 and 16. Okay? Senator Ron Young. Now, let me say this, right? We know this guy is playing the game because he's part of the machine. He's part of the machine, right? But let's say he's for real. He'd be killed, okay? He'd be killed. He'd be bumped off. He'd be taken out of the way, okay? Senator Ron Young, Democrat, District 3. Now, notice this is a Democrat. You know, the Democrats are supposed to be so-called Negro friendly, which is total nonsense. It goes back to that epiphany that I had, right? That the Democrats, which is one of the horns of this beast that spake like a lamb, one of the horns of this beast, one of the horns of this beast that let's get it, that had two horns like a lamb and spake as a dragon. He didn't speak as a lamb, he spake as a dragon. Okay, Democrat is one of those horns, but it's of that same beast. It's of that same beast. So how benevolent is it? How good is it for so-called black people, Democrat? It's a joke, okay? And that's that epiphany that I had. It's of the same beast, okay? The Republicans are no different. In other words, let me put it to you plainly. The Republicans are no different from the Democrats. Why do I say that? Because they're of the same beast. Like the prophecy said, John saw the beast coming up out of the earth, and the beast had two horns like a lamb. The two horns are the two parties that seem to oppose themselves, but in reality, they're really working together. Okay? They're really working together as that machine to what? To eventually put that legislation on people to have them totally chipped. Okay? That's the agenda. That's the ultimate agenda. And how do we know this? Well, when we read in the latter part of the 13th chapter of Revelation, it tells you that. He causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, to receive a mark. Now we're reading this article here, and they're confirming it. They're confirming that they want everyone chipped. Let's read it again. Big Brother may always be watching. Who's Big Brother, by the way? The same beast. Big Brother is the same beast that had the two horns and spake as a dragon. Okay? Big Brother may always be watching, but if a Frederick County lawmaker has his way, notice lawmaker, at least that won't lead to you being forced to get implanted with a chip, which is what they want. Okay? Ron Young, Democratic District 3, testified in support of Senate Bill 944 before the Senate. Oh, now, let's take a look at that bill. Okay? Let's take a look at that bill. Public Health, subcutaneous implanting of identification device. Prohibition approved by the governor. But this, you know what? This is this here, right? This here is an illusion. Okay, this is not going to go anywhere. In other words, the program of the bankers is to have everyone chipped. So there's not going to be no opposition. And like I said, if this guy, Ron Young, is for real, he'd be killed. He'd be bumped off. Okay? So this Senate bill that he's proposing is going to go nowhere. The plans are going to move forward, but they have to give you that illusion. This guy, Ron Young, is really set up to be an illusion that you have choice. Those of you that have woken up to what these wicked elites really want to do, which is chip everyone. You have to have an illusion that someone up there is fighting for you. And voila, they give you Ron Young. But you better believe this Ron Young guy is connected, and he bows to the will of what the bankers want. If that wasn't so, he wouldn't be a senator. Okay? No way he'd be a senator. Testified in support of Senate Bill 944 before the Senate Finance Committee, the bill would prevent employers and the state government from requiring or coercing anyone to be implanted with an identification device. Yeah. Well, like I said, that's an illusion. Senate Bill 944 is an illusion to give you that you have choice, to give you the idea that you have choice. Okay, which you don't have a choice. It's what the bankers want. All right. Let's read this. The premise of Young's bill may sound like the plot of a science fiction film, but proponents say it addresses a very real issue. And that's the same thing that I said in the last video. When you looked up, when you look up the definition of the job that Chief Roberts does, which is Chief Justice of the United States, when you look up the definition according to Wikipedia, it tells you that that man, John Roberts, presides over cases that are important to the legislature. And one of those cases is to have everyone chipped, the mandatory implication of the chip. Okay? So indeed, it's a very real issue, and that's pursuant to Revelation 13 and 16. It addresses a very real issue. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration has approved the use of, wow, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration has approved the use of RFID chip implants in humans since October 2004. All right, so we're coming to a time where they have to, make it mandatory because it's part of their New World Order. They have to have everyone tracked and tagged. You heard Joe Biden said it. He said it to Chief Justice John Roberts. He said to have a microscopic tag where everyone's tracked and identified. All right, and that's part of the so-called New World Order. Okay. There are no known instances of Maryland entities using microchips, according to an analysis from the Department of Legislature Services. However, the Wisconsin self-serve snack Koisk company, I guess that's how you pronounce it, and brothers have done videos on this. You know, the Wisconsin company out there that made all their employees, made them get a chip, made them get chipped. The Wisconsin self-serve snack Koisk company, 3 Square Market, became the first U.S. company to offer RFID chips to its employees in 2017. According to the analysis, the implanted IDs allow employers or employees, which the word employee, you know what it means? It literally means slave. That's right. The word employer means master. The word employee means slave. So those individuals are nothing but slaves, and that's why the company heads wanted them chipped, because they're nothing but property. They're nothing but chattel. They're nothing but slaves. And that's a precursor of what's to come here in America, where they want we're nothing but slaves anyway. In reality, we're nothing but slaves to the international bankers. That's why we have all these documents that prove we're slavery. The first one being a birth certificate. Then all these other documents, Social Security, driver's license. You know, we're not sovereigns. We're not free. We're slaves. And the top elites have put the documents before us that we have to get in order to so-called live this life as a slave. So the final one is having everyone chipped. Just like this business here. The implanted IDs allow employees to open doors. So you mean to tell me they can't do it the old-fashioned way? They have to get a chip to open a goddamn door? Whatever happened to opening a door the old-fashioned way? That is, you grab the knob and you turn the door, and boom, you're in. So, tell you, the implanted IDs allowed employees to open doors, which many Americans will find that convenient because they're lazy anyway. Open doors, make break room purchases. Whatever happened to the old vending machines, huh? And log into computers. No, the real point behind it is to have everyone controlled, just like Joe Biden said. Okay? It's provocative legislation, draconian legislation. Let's bring that word in there. It's provocative legislation, to our knowledge. Maryland has no organization that is implanting its workers right now. Yeah, right now. But how about the future? But new technologies are providing new means of monitoring workers, Young said. And ultimately, they're going to go to the ultimate way of monitoring a worker, which is having the worker chipped. Ultimate form of control. Okay? He said that the chips have been used in Sweden to track medical records, allow access to public transportation, and more. So more and more, they're showing the convenience of that chip. Okay? As of the start of this year, several U.S. states, including California, Missouri, North Dakota, Oklahoma, and Wisconsin, have prohibited the mandatory implication of a chip. That's an illusion. Again, they're giving you that choice. But the ultimate mandatory implication of the chip is what the bankers want. How do we know this? Well, let's go back to the statement Aaron Russo made before he died. And we believe that they killed him, okay? Because he was one that wasn't willing to totally play ball, all right? Aaron Russo. In his interview with Alex Jones, he said, look, they want everyone chipped. Total form of control. They want everyone chipped. So they're putting these senators that seem to oppose it as an illusion for you people, to give you the illusion that you have choice. But the only choice is what the bankers want. And when you go back to the scriptures, it's really what the Heavenly Father wants. Because as Yahushua said, not one jot or one tittle shall in no wise pass till all be fulfilled. Well, this prophecy must be fulfilled. Revelation 13 and 16. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. It's part of their draconian legislation. That mark is that chip. The same thing that Joe Biden said to Chief Justice John Roberts, which is still in his position to this very day. This is what Joe Biden said that he will preside over, the mandatory implication of the chip. Okay? So yeah, I just wanted to say those few words. All right? Keep it going. And if you happen to find this video boring, then this is not for you. Okay? This truth is really not for you, because right now that's one of the main things on the table of prophecy right now. The mandatory implication of that chip. And more, like the Apostle Paul said, we see through a glass darkly. The Apostle Paul said that. Well, more and more that glass is being wiped clean, and we're starting to see it crystal clear. Okay? That the day is coming when they will make everyone under the penalty of death take that chip. The only ones that's not going to take that chip is the Lord's elect. They're not going to take that chip. Under the penalty of death, they're not going to take that chip. But the majority of our people will take that chip. They will be caused to take that chip by draconian legislation, by the New World Order police, by the scaring of the guillotines. If you don't take that chip, the scaring of the torture instruments in the concentration camp. Oh yeah, this devil is going to make it where everyone must take that chip. Okay, so without further ado, I'll end it there, and it's on to the next one.